talking about the biggest contributions we see from our community, Eboard. I want you guys to run for Eboard because I want to take naps next year. So hopefully you guys will be able to step up, and this presentation will give you more of an insight as to what the Eboard does on a weekly basis and what each position is responsible for. So when can you run and what for? We have 10 Eboard positions, which is a lot. Ops and tech lead are both appointed, which means you go through an interview process, and the Eboard will vote on you based on your skill level. And then ISTS CA is actually going to be elected in just a few weeks, right after ISTS. We want to give the new competition architect a full year to work on that competition, and I think Jack just wants to retire, so we will be having that soon. And then after that, we will be splitting elections this year into 2 different meetings because last year it took a beautiful 10 hours of our lives. So we will be splitting it up into 2 meetings. Unfortunately, it will be our last 2 meetings of the semester, but it should still be fun. We will have president, treasurer, secretary, PR, IRSEC/CTF competition architect, head of education, and head of research all elected. As you could hear, that was a lot. So make sure you come both days because they all are equally important. So during elections, we will have a 5-minute presentation, give or take a few. You will then be asked questions and asked to leave the room, in which we will all give our opinions on what you just talked about, which is kind of scary, but it's okay because everyone's really nice about it. And then after that, we vote, and we do ranked choice voting, and then you get elected right after that. If you are not elected for the first position you run for, you're allowed to continue to run for the positions that are elected next in the process. Yeah. Why run? Well, you love the club, you love coming, you're here anyway, so you might as well get something out of it, right? You want some more opportunities. Maybe there's a company that's a sponsor that you really want to rub elbows with. You want to meet more people in the college. There's lots that you can do. You want to improve your soft skills, time management, dedication, communication. They're all things that you learn with Eboard. And then that last one, that's just for me, but someone else in the room might need it, so. So what do each of us do? Ops. Ops is elected. Ops is appointed again. Right now, Kyle is the head of Ops. Hi, Kyle. So you sound sad if you're head of Ops, but you run our infrastructure and our Ops program, which means you're leading other people and tasking them with skills so that they can help run Ops. You'll have to be very technically talented with OpenStack, Ansible, ESXi, networking, a lot of stuff. You need to be able to communicate with your Ops program. You have to be able to train the juniors that come in that maybe don't know all of this stuff, but they want to learn. And you have to be able to stay awake in that small closet for like ever. So just make sure we got you Red Bull. So you'll be okay. Tech lead, right now, Choi is our tech lead. I don't know if he's still here. Hi, Choi. And Emmanuel is the junior. They make weekly demos that all of us get to participate in every week. And they also, if you are Choi, you will train Emmanuel, etc. And then the skills required for this are you have to be able to do CTFs a little bit. Choi said it's not super required for you. You don't have to be like crazy talented with it, but you need to know the basics. So you have to be able to do a demo on that. You have to be able to do a write-up on each weekly demo, and then you need to know the basics of infrastructure because you might have to send out a beefy Windows VM once a semester. So, but Choi really told me that for this position, what you really, really need is dedication and the passion for teaching others because he's the sweetest guy ever. So just make sure you're able to sit down with people that don't really know what's going on and communicate to them clearly. I think Emmanuel is doing it in the back right now, so yeah, it's pretty cool. ISTS and Hackathon, this is a big one. You do the technical side and the logistics side of each competition, so you're not just sitting down doing the whole infrastructure yourself. The Hackathon is pretty easy. It's literally just a schedule of 24 hours of meals and organizing signups for people and some prizes. So that's a really easy thing to run. And then you might have to schedule in some tech talks to keep people going, keep people learning, so they're not sitting in front of a computer for 24 hours because that gets tiring. For the black team, you will need to recruit a black team to help you out with ISTS. You'll need to create a topology, decide what different VMs will be used during that, what different OSs are used, the networking for it, stuff like that. And you'll need to recruit a black team to help you with that. You'll have to talk to other schools, meet them at ShmooCon and stuff, and say, hey, sign up for our club, for our competition. You'll have to talk to the red team, who are all really cool industry professionals. You'll need to decide on food and prizes and decorations and stuff like that. There will be people helping you with all of these things, but you have to be ready to do them yourself in case someone drops out or doesn't know what they're doing. You have to be the one that they're going to turn to say, what's going on, help me. And it's very similar for the IRSEC CTF CA. That's Q right now. Hi, Q. And so that is, again, technical and logistics. So you need to be able to do both. For the CTF, it's a lot of infrastructure and writing challenges. You won't be writing all of the challenges because there's 50 of them and you would die, but you have to be able to recruit others to do that with you. And then you have to have experience in CTFD, ESXi, and Ubuntu or whatever VMs you decide to use that year. Those are some really important skills to have. And then IRSEC is a little bit bigger. It's kind of a small internal ISTS, so you'll be working with our red team. So you'd be talking to John, who's currently our red team chief, making sure that they're prepared, that they know the topology that's going to be there this semester. You have to recruit our black team, so maybe that is with the ISTS black team, but you two kind of got to figure out who's going to be doing what competition. And a lot of times with IRSEC, they're less experienced black teamers who are trying to learn, so you have to be able to sit down and teach them and make sure you have ISTS black teamers or IRSEC black teamers that are willing to teach them. And then you also have to do the logistics of everything, which means shirts and logos and stuff like that. So you have to make sure that you have all of the prizes correctly, you have the food correctly. It's a pretty big deal, but people will be there to help you out. So skills for those, technical, you have to know like OpenStack, networking, VMware, you have to be able to talk to ops about all of that. Logistics, you need to know your people, who in the club would be a good black team member, who has the time for it. You have to be able to communicate with both Eboard members and with your black team, and you have to have time management so that everyone's not building everything the week before. And just really have a vision of the competition, what you want it to be. Maybe you want a cool theme, maybe you want something cool like tour happening, you know, cool stuff. So just like have a vision for that. Secretary, that's currently John Bauer sitting right there running that stream. He's in charge of notes, the stream, which is on YouTube and Twitch, the interest groups who communicate to him on a weekly basis, the newsletter, and that's about it. So you got to do all of that stuff. It's a lot of administrative work. You have to be able to edit the videos and cut them properly and throw them up there, make playlists, stuff like that. You have to type fast during Eboard meetings. Something with this is that you have to be able to type and like take a break and voice your opinion. It's a little bit harder, so if you're a very opinionated person, you have to be able to do both and then write down all of the opinion. That's why the notes are bad, John. It's true, it's true. So if you're a quiet person, this is a really great position for you if you can type really fast and just kind of get it all out. The club relies on you because they're always reading those notes, so make sure you're good at that. Yeah. Treasurer, you are in charge of creating a budget. The budget fluctuates based on our sponsorship, which means it's changing throughout the entire year, so you have to figure out how much can be spent where, when to say no, stuff like that. You have to keep a ledger of everything that was bought so we know how much money is left. There's also a limit on our credit cards. You have to know how much is left each semester or each month, and then you have to bump that because there's always more. You also have to be approving things, so it's possible that someone wants something crazy and you're like, no, we cannot have all new servers. I'm sorry, Kyle, but they're just too expensive. So you have to be able to say that in a polite way or a very stern way if Eboard is not listening to you. So this takes a lot of decision makings, a lot of confidence, saying no, and communication. You're also going to be in charge of all of the food for each semester. So pizza like that, and then at each competition, you're going to have to decide how much food is going to be there based on how many people will be there. So make sure you're decent with math and just like common sense stuff. Public relations, I personally think this has the most responsibility. You have to do all the social media, which is weekly posts on Twitter and Facebook, but you also have to post about our social events or different interest group meetings that are happening. So you have to be communicating with everyone. For sponsorship, you're going to be going around career fair recruiting people. You're going to be deciding what the sponsors get that year. You have to get that approved by a lot of people from the dean's office, so you have to do that. You have to write the alumni newsletter every month. You have to communicate with the sponsors once they are a sponsor and say, hey, when would you like to come to club? I haven't seen your money yet, where is it? Stuff like that. So you have to have a lot of conversations and a lot of professionalism every time that they come here. So you're also in charge of stickers, shirts, bean bags, skirts, whatever you want for the club. You're in charge of picking that out and having that creative mindset. So it takes a lot of communication skills. There's some awkward times where you even have to say no to people because companies will want to come and talk at club, but if they're not a sponsor or an alumni, we don't allow that because it takes the value away from our sponsorship. So you have to be able to have those conversations in a professional manner that continues to mend those bridges. Head of education, the club ho. So our education head right now is Owen. It's our club ho. So you're scheduling the education part of club. You sit down with the tech lead and you go over what you want to do each week. You then find people who are experts to present on that. If you can't find a person, you have to present on that and be ready in case someone drops out. Help out with the interest groups because they're also presenting every week and trying to educate our community. So you can reach out to them and say, hey, there's not much going on there. Do you guys want some help? Here's some resources, stuff like that. Outreach, it's not something we do very often in this club. It's not our primary focus, but it's something we could be doing more of, and educating the kiddos is always a great thing to do. So if you are running for next year's head of education, that's a good platform to run on. Skills, presenting, and knowing people, knowing our club, being really involved with the community, knowing who can present what and who you trust on presenting. The club horror is the head of research. So as you just saw, Ian went over most of his responsibilities, which is scheduling the research section. He also runs the mentorship group. So you are in charge of people's projects, basically, within the club. A lot of times they'll come up and they'll ask for money. They'll say, is this okay to do, or is it illegal? Like, you're the one that they're going to go to say, like, hey, yeah. So you have to be good at peer pressuring or motivating people to come up here. You have to be able to build their confidence and say, yes, you can do this. This is a great idea. Here's some more if you want some more. You have to think of presentations and think of projects. Projects are really important for us all to be doing because we don't do enough work here. So everyone get out there, get to the labs, you know, stuff like that. President, that's our last one. So in the Constitution, it says I have to attend all meetings, oversee those meetings, and maintain a calendar, and that's it. So that's really all I gotta do. I don't even know why I'm here today, but I guess it's required. But in reality, you're kind of supposed to do everything. I'm the public face of the club, so you saw me talk at ShmooCon. You have to step up to the next level and do greater things and bring the club into the future. You have to do a lot of politics. We do, although we are a student-run club, we are also at a university, which means we have to work closely with the department. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. I'll talk to the dean's office a lot. I'll talk to the gift office a lot. So making sure you know a lot of people in the school and you're able to speak to them in a manner that doesn't hurt the club is very important. You have to think of new ideas. We have the Career Fair Eve coming up. We got ShmooCon vans, Shmooze a Student, stuff like that, new things that we can be doing. And having a deepening understanding of everything going on. One-on-ones are really important for Eboard so that I can understand what Q is doing, so that Amanda can understand what Q is doing, and like this and that. There's a lot of communication that doesn't happen, so you have to be the bridge between everyone. And a lot of times Eboard members will have ideas that they want to move forward, but they may not want to talk about it, but you can like pull it out of them and be like, you can do this, I believe in you. So you're a leader, that's basically it. You have to do everything. I will pull a lot of jobs from other people in case they have too much. PR has a lot of work, so I'll help Adriana about a lot. I've been treasurer, so I help Amanda out a lot on that. So really anytime your eBoard members need you, you're there. Overall requirements, communication is the number one. You don't have to be the most outgoing person in the world to be on Eboard. You won't always be up here like talking, but you have to be able to communicate with each other in order to make the club work. Time management is so important. Please manage your time. This is a great way to learn to do it, but please have somewhat of an understanding of it before you come to Eboard. Dedication. As an Eboard member, you are expected to come to club. You are signing up for 5 hours a week, so you got 4 hours here, you got 1 hour of Eboard. And then a lot of times we have social events which you're also expected to come to. You'll probably want to learn to teach other underclassmen stuff, so you'll say like, hey, I'm gonna go to this interest group, not because I need to learn it, but because I wanna help them out and make sure that they feel supported. And then you have to love the club. It's really exhausting doing this job. I've done it for like 3 years, and you have to really love it. Like, you have to really love this community. You have to say, yes, I'm gonna go to whatever thing, like just because I love it, right? So make sure you love the club, but I think you can do it. I hope I didn't scare you and that these don't seem like a lot, but I think you can be on Eboard pretty easily if you just try. So that is all.